From translation, TLB, the Living Bible. This 97th day of the year. Today we are reading passages 2 Samuel 8 to 12. 2 Samuel chapter 8, verses 1 to 14. After this, David defeated the Philistines and subdued them, taking Metheg-Ammah from the Philistines. He also defeated the Moabites. Making them lie down on the ground, he measured them off with a cord. He measured 2 full lengths to put to death, and 1 full length to let live. So the Moabites became servants to David, bringing tribute. Also David fought King Hadadezer of Zobah toward Hamath, as he went to establish his dominion at the Euphrates River. David captured from him 1,000 chariots, 7,000 horsemen, and 20,000 foot soldiers. David hamstrung all the chariot horses, except for 100. When the Arameans of Damascus came to help King Hadadezer of Zobah, David killed 22,000 Arameans. Then David put garrisons in Aram of Damascus, and the Arameans became servants to David, bringing tribute. The Lord gave victory to David wherever he went. David took the golden shields carried by Hadadezer's servants and brought them to Jerusalem. From Beta and Berotai, cities of Hadadezer, King David took a great quantity of bronze. When Toi king of Hamath heard that David had defeated the entire army of Hadadezer, he sent his son Joram to King David, to greet him and to bless him because he had fought against Hadadezer and defeated him, for Hadadezer had been at war with Toi. Joram brought with him articles of silver, of gold, and of bronze. King David dedicated these articles to the Lord, along with the silver and gold that he had dedicated from all the nations he had subdued. From Edom, Moab, the Ammonites, the Philistines, Amalek, and from the spoil of Hadadezer son of Rehob, king of Zobah. And David made a name for himself when he returned from striking down 18,000 Edomites in the Valley of Salt. He put garrisons in Edom, and all the Edomites became servants to David. The Lord gave victory to David wherever he went. 2 Samuel chapter 9, verses 1 to 13. David asked, "Is there anyone still left of the house of Saul, to whom I can show kindness for Jonathan's sake?" Now there was a servant of Saul's household named Ziba. They summoned him to appear before David, and the king said to him, "Are you Ziba?" "Your servant," he replied. The king asked, "Is there no one still left of the house of Saul to whom I can show God's kindness?" Ziba answered the king, "There is still a son of Jonathan. He is crippled in his feet." "Where is he?" the king asked. Ziba answered, "He is at the house of Machir son of Ammiel in Lodebar." So King David had him brought from the house of Machir son of Ammiel, from Lodebar. Mephibosheth son of Jonathan, son of Saul, came to David and fell on his face and prostrated himself. And David said, "Mephibosheth." "Here is your servant," he replied. "Don't be afraid," David said to him, "for I will surely show you kindness for the sake of your father Jonathan. I will give you all the land that belonged to your grandfather Saul, and you will always eat at my table." Mephibosheth bowed down and said, "What is your servant, that you should notice a dead dog like me?" Then the king summoned Ziba, Saul's steward, and said to him, "I have given your master's grandson everything that belonged to Saul and his family. You and your sons and your servants are to farm the land for him and bring in the crops, so that your master's grandson may be provided for. And Mephibosheth, grandson of your master, will always eat at my table." Now Ziba had 15 sons and 20 servants. Ziba said to the king, "I will do whatever my lord the king commands his servant to do." So Mephibosheth ate at David's table like one of the king's sons. Mephibosheth had a young son named Micah, and all the people in Ziba's household were servants of Mephibosheth. So Mephibosheth lived in Jerusalem, for he always ate at the king's table, and he was crippled in both feet. 2 Samuel chapter 10, verses 1 to 21. In the course of time, the king of the Ammonites died, and his son Hanun succeeded him. David said, "I will show kindness to Hanun son of Nahash, just as his father showed kindness to me." So David sent a delegation to express his sympathy to Hanun concerning his father. When David's envoys came to Hanun in the land of the Ammonites to express sympathy to him, the Ammonite commanders said to Hanun, "Do you think David is honoring your father by sending envoys to you to express sympathy? Haven't his envoys come to you only to explore and spy out the country and overthrow it?" So Hanun seized David's envoys, shaved off half of each man's beard, cut off their garments at the buttocks, and sent them away. When this was reported to David, he sent to meet them, because the men were thoroughly humiliated. The king said, "Stay at Jericho until your beards have grown, and then come back." When the Ammonites realized that they had become obnoxious to David, Hanun and the Ammonites sent 1,000 talents of silver to hire chariots and charioteers from Aram Naharaim, from Aram Maacah, and from Zobah. They hired 32,000 chariots and charioteers, as well as the king of Maacah with his troops, who came and pitched camp near Medeba. The Ammonites also came together from their towns and moved out for battle. When David heard of this, he sent Joab out with the entire army of fighting men. The Ammonites came out and drew up in battle formation at the entrance to their city, while the kings who had come were by themselves in the open country. When Joab saw that the battle lines were drawn for the battlefront against him and in front of the city, he took the best troops in Israel and deployed them against the Arameans. He put the rest of the men under the command of Abishai his brother, and they deployed themselves against the Ammonites. Joab said, "If the Arameans are too strong for me, then you are to rescue me. But if the Ammonites are too strong for you, then I will rescue you. Be strong, and let us fight bravely for our people and the cities of our God. The Lord will do what is good in his sight." Then Joab and the troops with him advanced to attack the Arameans, and they fled before him. When the Ammonites realized that the Arameans had fled, they fled too before Joab's brother Abishai, and they entered the city. So Joab went back to Jerusalem. When the Arameans saw that they had been defeated by Israel, they sent messengers and had Arameans brought from beyond the Euphrates River, with Shophak the commander of Hadadezer's army at their head. On the 7th day of the month, David mustered his army and marched out to fight the Arameans, and he himself drew up his battle line against them. When the Arameans fought against Israel, David routed them before his own men, who fled at his approach. The Arameans had not regained control of themselves, for the Israelites had defeated them in a rout. David put garrisons in Aram of Damascus, and the Arameans became subject to him and brought tribute. The Lord gave victory to David wherever he went. 2 Samuel chapter 11, verses 1 to 27. In the spring, at the time when kings go off to war, David sent Joab out with the king's men and the whole Israelite army. They destroyed the Ammonites and besieged Rabbah, but David remained in Jerusalem. One evening David got up from his bed and walked around on the roof of the palace. From the roof he saw a woman bathing. The woman was very beautiful. David sent someone to find out about her. The man said, "She is Bathsheba, the daughter of Eliam and the wife of Uriah the Hittite." Then David sent messengers to get her. She came to him, and he slept with her. Now she was purifying herself from her monthly uncleanness. Then she went back home. The woman conceived and sent word to David, saying, "I am pregnant." So David sent this word to Joab, "Send me Uriah the Hittite." And Joab sent him to David. When Uriah came to him, David asked him how Joab was, how the army was, and how the war was going. Then David said to Uriah, "Go down to your house and wash your feet." So Uriah left the palace, and a gift from the king was sent after him. But Uriah slept at the entrance to the palace with all his master's servants, and did not go down to his house. When David was told Uriah did not go home, he asked him, "Haven't you just come from a journey? Why didn't you go home?" Uriah said to David, "The ark and Israel and Judah are staying in tents, and my master Joab and my lord's men are camped in the open fields. How could I go to my house to eat and drink and lie with my wife? As surely as you live, and as your soul lives, I will not do such a thing." Then David said to Uriah, "Stay here today also, and tomorrow I will send you back." So Uriah remained in Jerusalem that day and the next. At David's invitation, he ate and drank with him, and David got him drunk. But in the evening Uriah went out to sleep on his mat among his master's servants. He did not go home. In the morning David wrote a letter to Joab and sent it with Uriah. In it he wrote, "Put Uriah in the front line where the fighting is fiercest. Then pull back from him so that he may be struck down and die." So while Joab was besieging the city, he put Uriah in a place where he knew there were valiant fighters. When the men of the city came out and fought against Joab, some of the men in David's army fell. Moreover, Uriah the Hittite died. Joab sent David a full account of the battle. He instructed the messenger, "When you have finished giving the king all the account of the battle, suppose that the king becomes angry and asks you, 'Why did you get so close to the city to fight? Did you know they would shoot from the wall? Who struck down Abimelech son of Jerubbesheth? Didn't a woman throw an upper millstone on him from the wall, so that he died in Thebez? Why did you get so close to the wall?' Then say to him, 'Also, your servant Uriah the Hittite is dead.'" The messenger set out, and when he arrived he told David everything Joab had sent him to say. The messenger said to David, "The men overpowered us and came out against us in the open, but we drove them back to the entrance of the city gate. Then the archers shot at your servants from the wall, and some of the king's men died. Moreover, your servant Uriah the Hittite is dead." David told the messenger, "Say this to Joab, 'Don't let this trouble you. The sword devours one as well as another. Press the attack against the city and demolish it.'" Encourage Joab with the words. When Uriah's wife heard that her husband was dead, she mourned for him. After the time of mourning was over, David had her brought to his house, and she became his wife and bore him a son. But the thing David had done displeased the Lord. 2 Samuel chapter 12, verses 1 to 31. The Lord sent Nathan to David. When he came to him, he said, "There were 2 men in a certain town, one rich and the other poor. The rich man had a very large number of sheep and cattle, but the poor man had nothing at all except one little ewe lamb that he had bought. He raised it, and it grew up with him and his children. It shared his food, drank from his cup, and even slept in his arms. It was like a daughter to him. Now a traveler came to the rich man, but the rich man refrained from taking one of his own sheep or cattle to prepare a meal for the traveler who had come to him. Instead, he took the ewe lamb that belonged to the poor man and prepared it for the traveler who had come to him. David burned with anger against the man and said to Nathan, "As surely as the Lord lives, the man who did this must die. He must pay back 4 times the value of the lamb, because he did such a thing and had no pity." Then Nathan said to David, "You are the man. This is what the Lord, the God of Israel, says. I anointed you king over Israel, and I delivered you from the hand of Saul. I gave your master's house to you, and your master's wives into your arms. I gave you all Israel and Judah. And if all this had been too little, I would have given you even more. Why did you despise the word of the Lord by doing what is evil in his eyes? You struck down Uriah the Hittite with the sword and took his wife to be your own. Now therefore the sword will never depart from your house, because you despised me and took the wife of Uriah the Hittite to be your own. This is what the Lord says. Out of your own household I am going to bring calamity upon you. Before your very eyes I will take your wives and give them to one who is close to you, and he will lie with your wives in broad daylight. You did it in secret, but I will do this thing in broad daylight before all Israel." Then David said to Nathan, "I have sinned against the Lord." Nathan replied, "The Lord has taken away your sin. You are not going to die, but because by doing this you have shown utter contempt for the Lord, the son born to you will die." After Nathan had gone home, the Lord struck the child that Uriah's wife had borne to David, and he became ill. David pleaded with God for the child. He fasted and spent the nights lying in sackcloth on the ground. The elders of his household stood beside him to get him up from the ground, but he refused, and he would not eat any food with them. On the 7th day the child died. David's servants were afraid to tell him that the child was dead, for they thought, while the child was still living, "We spoke to him, but he wouldn't listen to us. How can we now tell him the child is dead? He may do something desperate." David noticed that his servants were whispering among themselves, and he realized the child was dead. "Is the child dead?" he asked. "Yes," they replied, "he is dead." Then David got up from the ground. After he had washed, he put on lotions and changed his clothes. He went into the house of the Lord and worshipped. Then he went to his own palace, and at his request they served him food, and he ate. His servants asked him, "Why are you acting like this? While the child was living, you fasted and wept, but now that the child is dead, you get up and eat." He answered, "While the child was living, I fasted and wept. I thought, who knows? The Lord may be gracious to me and let the child live. But now that he is dead, why should I fast? Can I bring him back again? I will go to him, but he will not return to me." Then David comforted his wife Bathsheba, and he went to her and lay with her. She gave birth to a son, and they named him Solomon. The Lord loved him, and because the Lord loved him, he sent word through Nathan the prophet to name him Jedidiah. Meanwhile Joab fought against Rabbah of the Ammonites and captured it. Joab then sent messengers to David, saying, "I have fought against Rabbah and taken its water supply. Muster the rest of the troops and encamp around the city. I will take it myself. I will do it, so that I do not cause the city to be named after me." So David mustered the entire army and went to Rabbah, and after fighting against it, he captured it. He took the crown from their king's head. The crown was weighed at a talent of gold, and it was set with precious stones, and it was placed on David's head. He took a great amount of plunder from the city. He brought out the people who were there and put them to work with saws, iron picks, and axes. David did this to all the Ammonite cities. Then he and his entire army returned to Jerusalem.